Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Today, we delve into one of the post-hardcore, emo-ish scene's biggest known names and try and answer the question of how in the world is this so popular? I do have a couple of reasons, perhaps, but we'll see as we dive into Census Fail's new effort, Hell Is In Your Head, released July 15th on Pure Noise. Now, this is the band's 8th studio album and their first since 2018. Did they take advantage of the wide gap? Let's find out. Now, this is an album that's definitely leaning a lot less metalcore and way more pop punk. It's almost like a light, very light version of A Day to Remember. Don't worry, though, that's not really a knock against it. I actually enjoyed a lot of parts on this album. I'm not going to put it up there as an essential album or something that you absolutely have to hear in your life, but for what it is, it's a good representation of the genre. You know, there's a distinctive sort of kind of semi-nothingness about the album that permeates every track on here, both lyrically and sonically. In terms of music, the nothingness is a lot more subtle. In an album that deals almost exclusively with things like death and mental anxiety and things like that, this considered subtlety is actually rather welcome. It doesn't blast you in the face, but each successive note is kind of pushed and pulled in little ways to back up what vocalist Buddy Nielsen is saying. Some of the guitar work on here, while not virtuosic in any way, shape, or form, is interesting in its own little supporting role. Structurally speaking, the songs on here follow the old-school simplicity of pop-punk mainstays like Bowling for Soup and Less Than Jake. It's not going to set the world on fire, but again, settles in just rather nicely. Between verse and chorus, there's a lot to sing along with on here. And while more radical metal fans may go down the road of kind of deriding this album, there is no doubt an audience for this kind of thing. Am I necessarily a part of it? Not really. In fact, some of the lyrics on here I find to be somewhat questionable. I'll get to that in a minute. But that said, musically speaking, the record accomplishes its objective. It's not going to explore any new areas. Again, it's not going to do that, but it's satisfactory, it's listenable. In short, it's a CD. Now we get to the main issue with the record, the lyrics themselves. Some of them are fine and some border on the poetic and beautiful, but then there are others that are just kind of asinine. The first half of the album has some terrific lyricism. Songs like End of the World, A Game of Chess, and The Fire Sermon deal with things in a very mature, very excellent manner. My favorite song on the record, What the Thunder Said, is absolutely fantastic in every manner. From songwriting to lyricism to Nielsen's performance, it conveys the theme of dealing with a loved one's death in a very poignant, very fascinating way. Then you get to the second half of the album, and the poetry sort of shifts into yelling about these cliche political and environmental themes, things that you hear on the news where the two talking heads are just going back and forth at each other. Then when Nielsen tries to go back to speaking about his daughter and his love for her, it doesn't really have quite the same impact. There are back-to-back songs on here that are incredibly political, and it just seems like on an album that's so overtly sort of like a love letter to both his grandmother and his daughter, just feels that these are out of place. And it feels like they bring the record to a screeching halt for a little bit. Overall, Census Fail have not released a bad album. They just haven't released one that's going to make the fans world over jump for joy. It's the same basic pop-punk emo structure that's been done to death, and some of the lyrics can get kind of grating. Then there are songs on here that have had effort and vision committed to them, and the results are about 10 times better. Will I listen to this album again? Maybe, maybe not, we'll see, but there are separate songs that I would return to. In light of all that, it gets a sturdy, if unspectacular, 3.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe for more weekly Metallic reviews. Next time, we're going to kind of be sticking in this post-hardcore-ish landscape and examining Palisade's new album, Reaching Hypercritical. I hope you'll join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music, and I'll see y'all next time.